Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to episode 108 of The Reformed Gamers, the show all about theology, video games, hitting that 3-year anniversary in 2018, and anything else that we can think of. I'm your New Year host, Logan.
And I am your new daddy host, Adam.
Say what?
Yes, sir.
Adam,
surprise,
are you a
surprise.
dad?
I am.
What?
Surprise, surprise. God has been so gracious to my family. I kind of hinted at it last episode, talking about some big things going on in the works. And those big things were, we were actually at that point matched with the birth mom, who was due on December 20th. She didn't end up having the baby till December 29th, so we waited around in Ohio, away from all of our friends and family for 9 days, missing all the holiday. But it all came out to be well worth it. We are now the parents of a beautiful little girl. Her name is Ren Noel Sutherland. Well,
Amen.
Not officially, but it will be. We still got a placement hearing coming up in the next few weeks, so you guys can keep praying for that. But yeah, God has been so gracious. We got the call at 2:30 in the morning on the 29th saying, hey, your mom's going into labor, get over here. And so we rushed over to the hospital, and by the time we even got there, the baby was already out. She went into labor at 1:30 and she had the baby by 2:58, so it was a really quick labor, one push, bam, baby's out. So very different from our last hospital visit with our other birth mom. That one was extremely open. We were in the same room with her like the whole time, and the baby. This one was, we spent a little time with the birth mom and birth father, and actually the birth mom's dad was there, and so we got to meet them and hang out and hold the baby. And then after we went from the labor and delivery room to her to our hospital room, we kind of disconnected at that point. We later got to meet her mom and her sister and kind of talk with them about how we hope that openness will grow some in the future, but we want to give, the birth mom some space, and how we're so thankful for this gift. It was a really just special moment getting the birth mom's mom was trying to be supportive of her daughter, and she understood that this is what they believed to be the best choice, but still a really hard choice to choose to place your child for adoption. So just to hug on them and cry with them and say we know it's hard, but we're thankful, and we're not trying to just get out of Dodge with this baby. We hope that one day we'll have a more open relationship. So we texted the birth mom on New Year's Eve saying, hey, Happy New Year's. And the birth certificate, the baby, the birth mom had chosen Noel as the first name. So we knew that we wanted Ren as the first name. We didn't really have a middle name at that point. And so we're like, hey, if you'd like, and we'd love to make Noel the middle name since you chose that for the first name on the birth certificate. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm crying. Yes.
That's cool.
I'm totally okay with that. Like, you guys have been so thoughtful and loving. And she just, wrote out a long message how we were the first family she saw for profiles, and she knew it was meant to be, and this and that. Wow. So, God was really good to us. And so we came home 2 days later, and she's been sleeping good. I mean, she's eating well. She'd probably sleep all the way through the night if we'd let her, but we're like, girl, you got to eat. Yeah. So we've been waking her up to eat once in the middle of the night, and we were kind of laughing before the show, she hadn't used the bathroom for a couple of days, and so we thought we were going to have to go to the hospital just to get her checked out, but we've never been so happy for someone to go poop in their diaper. So it's the little things in life that you celebrate, I guess, as parents. So we're feeling great about it. She's been just a great gift, and we're going to go up and see family tomorrow for the first time, so they'll get to meet the little girl. And God's just been, coming off of the failed match. Again, I don't like using those words, but technically a failed match last time, and within 10 days we were meeting this family, and we're matched with a family that was due within 10 days. God, we didn't understand, and we still don't understand why everything worked out the way that it did. but we're parents of a beautiful little girl, and we're so thankful for her. And again, just thank you to all the listeners and the people in the Facebook group who have given to help us, afford this adoption, who have prayed for us, who have sent words of encouragement. I mean, it really does mean so, so much to our family. I actually messaged one of the guys specifically and just sent some pictures and just was like, thank you for your extremely generous donation. Option happen. We really couldn't have done it without many of the dear listeners' financial support, but also words of encouragement and prayers. It's just super thankful for the community. And, I couldn't wait to post about the news in the Facebook group and on Facebook just for our friends and family, because there's so many people involved in this adoption. So we were so excited just to tell people about it. So super just grateful. The Lord, again, we didn't deserve this. God could have never given us a baby if he would have chosen that. But he's seen it as the right thing to do is to give us a child. And so we're super thankful to this gift that God has given us. And now just learning what it means to be parents and how to serve my wife and serve this child. And, my gaming in the last kind of week has kind of dropped, and I'm like, all right, trying to figure out a balance of being a dad and gaming. And I know it's possible because a lot of our dear listeners pull it off. So trying to find proper balance right now. But yeah, super grateful, super thankful. But yeah, I'm a dad. It's kind of crazy and surreal at the same time to think like 2 years of waiting, and we're kind of here. We're kind of through this stage. So it's kind of wild to think that we're kind of not officially over this stage. There's a few more documents to sign, but we have every reason to believe that this is going to, happen all the way through into placement, into finalization. And so super, super grateful.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, you said that she'd sleep through the whole night if you guys let her. So you guys haven't really lost any sleep then since, or?
I mean, maybe a little bit here and there. The first 2 nights we were kind of figuring out what was going on. But the last 2 nights, I'm like, we've been going to bed at like 11. And we'd feed her maybe at like 9:30, 10. And I'm kind of, me and Hannah are waking each other. I'm like, it's 3:00. Shouldn't we wake her up to like feed her? But she's just sleeping there all quiet and silent. I'm like, I mean, once we wake her up, she's ready to eat. But it's like she enjoys her sleep more than eating. So, we're trying to keep her well fed. But if we just fed on demand, who knows when she'd want to eat? I mean, she's going to get what she wants. But it hasn't been that crazy of a, loss of sleep so far. It'll happen. I know it'll happen, but
for sure, yeah.
We're just counting our blessings so far.
That's cool, man. I'm excited for you. And other dear listeners are excited for you as well, because I saw your post on the Facebook group and everybody was like, what? Oh, snap! So yeah, it's totally rad, dude. Totally rad. God is definitely good, man. What's interesting is that here we are at 2018. At the time that we're recording this, we're only 4 days into 2018. And I don't know, man. To me, I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to speak for like everybody, but so far God's just been great, So
2018 starting off with a bang.
Yeah, in a lot of different ways. But I'll share this quick story, okay? Because let's just go ahead and keep the ball rolling with how good God is. So I wake up the other morning. It was yesterday morning, and me and wifey are getting in our car. We're down to one car because our other car, the alternator's out, and we're trying to get that fixed. And so we get in our car, the only one that works, and it just kind of sputters when you turn the key, and I'm like, oh, crap. How bad would that be if 2 alternators went out and we got to pay for both? I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to panic because it's not going to be, not worth it. Turns out it's just the battery. And so, because it's the only one we had. It's the one that we had in the car since we bought it, and we honestly should have changed it at the end of last year. So I take it up to the garage place that we go to, that we frequent. And they tell me, oh, yeah, so it's going to be about $130 for the battery. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, are you kidding me? Really? It's like, whatever. I need it. It's just whatever. And so I'm sitting there, we're waiting. They're working on the car, getting the battery installed, making sure everything's back up and running. I go up to pay, and they send me on my way. And so I'm sitting there in my office, right? And I'm just like, man, like, we got to get the alternator fixed in this car. Now we got to pay for this stupid battery thing. Like, this is just a great way to start 2018. And so then a church member, one of my adult leaders, comes by and drops a card off, and it's like, I keep missing you, and then you're gone for a couple weeks for vacation, and my bad. Anyway, here's your Christmas card we meant to get to you before you left. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. That's really thankful. I appreciate that. And so I opened the card, right, and hang on, I'm trying to find the verse they put in there. There it is. And I open the card, right? And the first thing I see is this verse out of Philippians 4:19 that says, "And my God will supply every need of yours according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus." And there's just a $100 bill sitting in there. And I'm like, what? Really? And I'm not going to lie. My youth group, I'm a crier. They know I'm a crier. So, of course, naturally, I just start crying there in my office. I'm like, God, you're so good. Like, yeah. It was just one of those moments where it's like, God was saying, look, I know this stuff stresses you out, but I've got you. I brought you here for a reason. I'm not just going to stop providing for you. So just don't let this stuff get to you, man. It's just...
There you go. So God taking care of you.
Yeah, man. It's 2018, dude. I'm telling you. It's off to a good start. Dear listeners, it's off to a good start. Everything will be okay. You know why? Because not only does God provide for Adam, not only does God provide for me, but I'm sure he provides for you. But not only that, he provides for this podcast. We've been around for 3 years now, dear listeners. I don't know if you were aware of that. Because we are on our 3rd year anniversary. Nothing major. I know people don't really celebrate the 3-year anniversaries. But not everybody is the Reformed Gamers. So, that being said, if you stick around and listen to the entire episode, we're doing a giveaway. But not just one giveaway. We're doing a giveaway for every year we've been around. So if you listen to the show, you might win a game, you might win a book, or you might just win a gift card. But you won't know until you listen to the entire episode, to the little spots that we're going to talk about those things. So, that being said, if you stick around, I mean, we are going to hook you up. We are going to provide for you just a little bit to thank you for sticking around. I will mention that we are giving away a copy of Cuphead. So, just saying. Hopefully you didn't buy that during the sale. But Adam, should we just do the Cuphead one right now?
Let's go for it.
So, dear listeners, y'all know the Everyday Gamers. They're great guys. If you're not listening to them, you really should. But anyway, I won a code for Cuphead on Steam from them a while back. And I have Steam, but I have a Mac computer, and I can't install it. So therefore, I don't know what the word is. My lack is your gain. I don't think that's the right way.
My loss is your gain.
There you go. My loss is your gain. So there you go. So here's how you can win a copy of Cuphead, or enter into a giveaway for a copy of Cuphead that we'll announce the winner on episode 109. You got to be following us on Twitter or be in the Facebook group, or both. You got to tweet at us or post in the Facebook group about your gaming goals for 2018 and use the hashtag TRG Cuphead. TRG Cuphead. You post in there, you tweet at us on Twitter, or you post in the Facebook group about your gaming goals for 2018 using that hashtag, and you'll be entered in to win a copy of Cuphead. Like I said, we'll announce the winner of Cuphead for Steam on episode 109. So there you go. That's one giveaway. The other two, you don't know what they are. You just got to keep listening. So with that being said, dear listeners, without further ado, let's jump in to the episode. Welcome to the Reformed Gamers. We like to start off the show like we always do with a little bit of what we've been playing and what we've been reading. And Adam, you baby daddy, what have you been playing, man? Besides Dad Simulator 2018.
It's no longer a simulator at this point, buddy. I'm in the real deal. Simulation is over. I should have been playing Dad Simulator.
You should have been playing that. If that's not a real game, y'all need to get on that. Any developers listening, get on it.
So I've been playing and trying to finishing up some games. I've been wanting to get into Wolfenstein 2, but I kept saying, I'll start this game after the baby comes on December 20th because we'll be sitting around. But then the baby never came because I didn't want to start it and like quit.
You really wanted to just introduce your child to Wolfenstein is what you're saying.
I figured, what better way than to start killing some Nazis?
Now look here, child. This is what you do.
Kill them. But yeah, so I never got around to starting that. But I did finish up Yooka-Laylee on the Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
And I tell you what, like, I really enjoyed this game. It is a great throwback to the 3D platforming series. If you like kind of like the Mario or Banjo-Kazooie or kind of DK64 style Rare games, you've got to enjoy this game. They fixed a lot of the issues that I heard were there when it first launched with the crappy voiceovers where it's like, like they didn't really do voiceovers. They just made this weird grunting noise. But you can turn that off. So I turned that off. You can fix the camera where you can kind of manually maneuver it with the right joystick, which was fantastic. It looks great on the Nintendo Switch. It's got the bright colors. I really enjoyed this game. I think there's 140, like, they call them pages, but they're basically like stars. There's 140 of them. I got 103 when 103 or 4 when I finished the game. You have to have 100 to fight the final boss. There was a decent amount of challenge. So some of them are just kind of like Mario Galaxy or Mario Odyssey style where you just kind of get to this location, do this thing, you get the pagey. Some of them you've got to get some high scores. There's some kind of mid bosses throughout the game that you can fight that you can get pages for. There's a lot of different collectibles that you can get. There's up to 5 of these like creatures that you can collect on every level. There's 3 or 4 other unique like there's a health upgrade that you can get on each level. There is a health upgrade. There's a certain like neutron thing that you can collect that allows you to transform into like another character, kind of like Possession in Mario Odyssey, but you just transform.
No, it's capturing, man.
Capturing.
Remember, Nintendo's all about like, no, it's capturing.
Instead of capturing something, you get turned into they like zap you and you turn into some other creature, which is kind of fun to have that little wrinkle. But I really enjoyed this game. Now, I think it's on sale I think they're selling it for $40 on the Nintendo Switch.
That's steep.
I think you can get it for $15 if you're looking around on PC or Xbox One or PlayStation 4. So again, you can play the Nintendo. What do they call it? The Nintendo
Switch?
Like stipend or something like that. It's like it costs more because it's on the Switch, basically.
Stipend. Oh, gotcha. That Nintendo, that Nintendo pricing.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad I had it on the Switch. I backed it back in the day on Kickstarter, so my copy was technically only $24 from backing it.
No, there you go.
I highly recommend it. If you like 3D platforming games, is it perfect? By no means. There were a couple times where I was getting super frustrated, but it's a great game. It's a great palate cleanser. It was one of those games where I'd keep playing. It's like, all right, it's 1:30. Okay, I'm going to try to get a couple more pages, a couple more of this, a couple more of that. And by the time I knew it, it was 2:30, 3 o'clock. I just kept one more thing. It's got that one more. It's
got that to it. Okay.
So I really enjoyed the game. Again, it's not perfect. It's a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. So we'll talk more about recommendations later, but I would recommend this game. I've also been playing some of the Everybody's Golf. I got to play that with Micah Hendrick from the group. We are still planning on doing a TRG Everybody's Golf tournament. Now it is getting delayed with the whole baby thing. I was hoping to have the baby a week and a half ago, so that this week we could have been doing the tournament, but God's sovereignty and his providence is not allowing that right now. So keep posted if you're wanting to do that. Shoot me a message on Facebook, find us on Twitter, let me know, and we'll get you on that list for the Everybody's Golf tournament. Definitely a lot of fun, that game.
Yeah, man.
And
I'm
then,
practicing, so just saying.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do it, because like when I played Micah, man, his I thought my stats were all right. His stats were like way better than mine.
Really?
I mean, we were still competitive, but like he was driving the ball like 30 yards further than me, all these different things. So we'll have to find some sort of
get some handicaps going on that or something.
Equalizer of how do we get everybody at the same level. But definitely something I want to still do, because it was fun just chatting and playing, but also that competitive side where I'm like, he beat me by a stroke. So it was pretty close through 9 holes. But lastly, I'm about 30 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah.
I know you're going to want to talk about this too, so let's just jump on in.
Let's just both talk about it. Co-op time.
Yeah, exactly. Logan, what are your initial impressions? I think you're 40 hours in?
Yeah, I played this game a ton when I was on vacation hanging out with my folks, just in the like at nighttime when my parents were watching TV or something. I'm like, hey, I got my Switch, pull out Xenoblade and play it. So I'm 40 hours in, and so far, like, I like the game, but at the same time, it's got some pretty big issues that just make it hard to enjoy even more, if that makes any sense. Like, the game could be better than what it is. Still having issues with the voice acting. I've been going back and forth between the Japanese VO and the English VO. Obviously, the Japanese VO is the way to go still, but it's just a mess. It's just, I don't know, man. At this point, I've put 40 hours into the game, and it still just feels like a clunky game. Like, the mechanics are still kind of confusing. Some of them, they still don't make sense to me. The way that they design the quests and the way that they design the map is just really counterintuitive. Like, there's a good game there, but there's just so much keeping it from being enjoyed to the level that I would want to enjoy this game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's a good game. I think it had the potential to be like this great game, but there are definitely some things that are holding it back. Now, I understand the voiceover, like the lip sync and all that stuff definitely doesn't match up, because they originally did all the visual stuff with Japanese subtitle or Japanese language and just kind of dubbed it over with English, which fair enough. I find that I play the game when I'm at long cutscenes, I'm actually usually reading it more than I'm actually watching, because either someone's playing, watching TV, Hannah's either watching TV or I'm multitasking or something. So, or I'm just listening to it without actually watching. Yeah. So a lot of that, it's definitely takes away from it, but it doesn't take away completely. Yeah. So that's definitely an issue. Some of the quests are definitely very much fetchy, where, okay, go do this, go do that. I'm going to run all the way across the map. Sometimes it is hard figuring out how to get to certain areas. Oh, I got to get up, but how do I get there? And you end up running around a little bit more than you should. Yeah. And I've even come to a couple quests where far enough along in the main story where I couldn't really get to where I needed to get because I hadn't had a certain core. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, but I needed to get the character, I think Rock is what they call it, the bird. Okay. I know where you're driver. At but I couldn't get to that area because I didn't have the bird. But luckily, I was kind of doing some of the different side missions and whatnot, and it didn't become a big deal because I was like one mission away. But some of those different things have kind of been annoying. The development, developing cities to certain levels to get in certain Merc missions, like they kind of force salvaging on you at times.
Yeah, they
which
really do.
Isn't a bad thing. Like, I found ways of farming and buying and selling stuff, because you don't have to buy a ton of stuff to be good and to get far in the game. So I would kind of just buy a bunch of stuff and sell it right back and just count my losses to get that money currency. So I think I've got level 5 development on the first 2 areas and then 2 stars.
Nice.
Yeah, if you look up online, if you're interested in it, you can look up online about how to farm different things. And so it basically comes down to, once you're like 3 stars in, if you just buy cylinders and sell them right back, you lose like 5,000-6,000, but it takes like 15-20 minutes to get to level 5, because it's costing you 5, 10, 15,000. But once you get to level 4, you're buying for basically 1,000 and selling for, or you're buying for like silver cylinders for 1,200, but you're selling them for 1,000. So you're really not losing that much. So there's kind of ways to cheat the system.
Sure.
So I've done that some, but I'm still really enjoying it. It's like, even with all of these little things, when I'm playing it, I'm like, man, I'm still really enjoying this. Like, I'm not minding the grind. I'm not minding the side quest, or where it's like, go kill a certain amount of these animals or these animals. So I think I'm only 30 hours in compared to your 40. I just got the more Arden. So I'm still going to be plugging away at it. Finishing Yooka-Laylee. I'm going to be starting a new game, whether that be Stardew Valley or Wolfenstein, to go along with this game. But, I'm definitely still enjoying it. I think it's a good game. It's not a great game.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at right now, but it's got its hooks in me enough where I keep coming back to it.
See, I've kind of, and this is probably just because that's literally all I played. I mean, I'll get to this here in a second. That's kind of one of the 2 games that I only played when I was visiting family. And so I'm trying to figure out if I'm just burnt out on the game. Because I mean, it's a big RPG. And so I'm trying to figure out if I'm just burnt out on the game, or if I just genuinely just have gotten tired of the game at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to just kind of be done with it. So, I've been using my GG app. Just saying, if you don't have it, get the GG app. Fantastic stuff. I've moved it over to shelved, and I'm going to come back to it a little bit later and kind of see where I'm at, see how I feel about it a little bit afterwards. But yeah. And the other thing, I'll say this real quick. One of the things that I personally, it just really gets on, kind of grinds my gears a little bit. It steams my broccoli, as I normally say. Is I hate it when games design female characters kind of scandalously.
Yeah.
And then they poke fun at it, trying to like get some humor going. I think that's just really just, I don't know if juvenile is the right word. It just comes across like really stupid. Like it's not smart. It's just cheap humor. And where I'm at, and you'll get to it at some point, or maybe you've already come across it. I'm not sure yet. But there's just a couple scenes where they do that with Pyra, and I'm like, this isn't funny to me. Like you designed a character this way, and now you're making fun of that design. It's like it seems like you guys just designed her that way just so you could put these jokes in, and that just seems really immature to me. And it just, I don't know. That's the thing that really bugs me, and that's the thing where I personally think that Xenoblade Chronicles 3D on the 3DS or on the Wii, depending on which one you played it on, it kind of is better than this game, at least in terms of tone, because that one, it had its quirks and it's had its jokes and stuff like that, but it was just a little bit more grounded, I guess.
I agree.
But this one's just kind of, I guess because it's going for that anime look, it's trying to bring in those tropes that you see in anime a lot, and it's just kind of, some people might find that funny. I just find it really stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's even hurting some of my enjoyment of the game as well. That's why I've rotated a lot of my, what are those things called? Blades. I've rotated a lot of them out to where it's like either a mythical creature or something like that, because just the way they design females in this game is just not it's not cool. Like it's like I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't like it.
Apart from some of those like sexual innuendos and jokes, I was gonna actually say I think some of the writing is pretty good. It's definitely a little more juvenile and out there. I think that you're definitely right with Xenoblade. The original is better with keeping it more grounded. We're talking about an anime sci-fi game, but so it's kind of weird to call them grounded. But I still think a lot of the writing has been pretty good. I think there have been some other pretty funny moments, not at Pyra's expense, but yeah, definitely not perfect. But I think there's a lot of good there.
Yeah, I will say that the stuff with I forgot what the guy's name is, but the little like what are those things called? The
Pawn character.
The pawn character. That party member and Poppy. Those two are great.
Yeah.
Love those two.
Yeah.
Love those two. They're funny. Really enjoy their interactions.
Well, that's all I got, Logan. What else have you been playing?
Well, besides Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I also played a ton of Axiom Verge on the Switch while I was visiting family. And I gotta say that now that I've actually finished the game and put some time into it, that game is fantastic. And I think the Switch, in a lot of ways, is the best way or the best platform to play that game on, because you can pick it up and play it for a little bit and put it down, or pick it up and play for hours and have a lot of fun. Overall, fantastic game. If you love Metroidvania style games, it's right up there. I will say that it can be kind of confusing sometimes where to go. There's several times I had to look up a guide and like, okay, where do I go now? Because I have no clue. But just the different kind of like powers that you get, the different ways that you can use those powers is actually really smart. And the fact that this game was created by one guy is just remarkable.
It's crazy.
It's very crazy. I mean, the dude made the music. He made every bit of this game by himself, and it's fantastic stuff. So, I mean, dear listeners, early Reco, Axiom Verge on the Switch or PS4, Xbox, PC, Vita, definitely pick the game up, give it a try, and see what you think. But yeah, also dipped into some Golf Story a little bit on the plane ride home, and that game is actually pretty good. That game is actually pretty good. I was shocked. I was like, okay, look at you, Golf Story. You're actually pretty good. I'm going to play a little bit more because I only put like a couple hours into it, so I can't really say much beyond that. I will say that the courses are dynamic enough to kind of keep you interested. So, but yeah. And the one game that I've been putting the most time into since coming back from vacation is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which, just saying right now, one of my favorite games of all time. Haven't finished it just yet, but this game, and here's the thing, the gameplay itself with the combat and all that stuff isn't groundbreaking, okay? So I'm not really saying it's my favorite game for that reason, but it's one of my favorite games of all time because of the themes that it's taking on, the way it's depicting those themes in a very respectful and grounded manner, and just Senua as a character. Like, this game is built in such a way that you really do feel like you are there with Senua and you are helping her out. And in some odd way, if you are a person that deals with mental illness or has anxiety, depression, all that stuff, I know that's kind of been a hot topic in the group past day or so. It's almost like she's trying to help you out too, because as you see her go through these situations, as you see her deal with the voices that she hears, you see how she goes through it, you see how she overcomes them, and in a way you feel like you're helping her along the way, but you're also kind of seeing your own stuff mirrored back to you, and so in a way you're almost helping yourself. It's just a very incredibly therapeutic experience, at least when I've been playing it. Now, I will say this, the deeper into this game you go, it does get more dark, it does get more nightmarish with the character designs and things like that, and so it's not an easy game to play. And so, dear listeners, if you're thinking about picking this game up, highly recommend you watch some Let's Plays, read up on the game, and just see if it's a game that you can personally handle, and if it's one that you think you can play through. Because I don't want to recommend it, and then people are like, whoa, this game's too much for me. It's like, oh, I get it. But it handles some heavy themes. And in all honesty, I think it's important for at least us as Christians to start discussing these themes, to start trying to learn from people that experience this stuff and just reading about it. Because in all honesty, and this is going to be kind of harsh, the church sucks at talking about mental illness. There are some churches that get it right and they do a great job, but there's also a lot of churches that just suck at it. And for me personally, it does kind of make my blood boil a little bit, because we should be able to speak to this kind of stuff, because the gospel can take care of this. The gospel is powerful enough to overcome this. Now, I do think that there are still times where, because God did give us medicine, we can use that to help others to kind of fight this illness. But man, I just realized I'm kind of getting on a bit of a soapbox. Overall, though, Hellblade's a fantastic game. It handles mental illness in a fantastic way that's just very eye-opening and very real and raw. And, like I said, dear listeners, if it's a game that you think you can play, definitely take the time to do so. And hopefully it will help you as you minister to those in your church that God has brought around you that deal with this kind of stuff. And so the game just means a lot to me. So I will definitely. It looks
like one of those games that I want to get to, just hearing you talk about it and a lot of people kind of recommending it in the group. So it's on my watch list for a good deal, and when my backlog's not crazy.
Yeah, man. So there we go. But Adam, good sir, what have you been reading?
It's kind of funny. I came into Christmas break thinking, okay, I want to get to a couple of these books that I didn't finish before the new year, so that I can, finish up my reading list. At my goal, I didn't really have an official goal, but I went into break. I'm like at 22 books. I'm like, all right, I got to finish 2 more books by the end of the year, so I can say I read 24 books in the year. I thought it was going to be a couple different books, but it ended up being, thanks to you, I read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier. And I'm like, I mean, I ran through the book. Like, I was reading 2 to 3 chapters a day. It took me, less than a week to read it.
So good.
And it's so good. So if you're interested in games like Stardew Valley, Witcher 3, the canceled Star Wars game, let me think of some of the other ones that were Dragon Age. What are some of the other ones that I'm missing?
Did you say Destiny and Stardew Valley?
Destiny, yeah. Check out this book. It was so interesting. Like, even if you're not interested in those games, just hearing the background of all these games, talking about the guy of like Stardew Valley who basically created this game all by himself. He talked about the Axiom Verge guy. I'm like, that's another story I'd love to hear after all of these other ones, and delays and cancellations, and talking about the guys that made Shovel Knight and how they basically had made all this money, but because they did a Kickstarter and promised all of these things, they're like, we're not going to go back on our word when we promise these things. Such a good game, such a good book. Definitely recommend it. Again, we're kind of rushing into all of our recommendations as we talk, but
highly keep track, dear listeners.
Yeah, we'll recap them at the end. But man, that book was so good. So thank you, Logan, for buying that for me.
You're welcome.
Such a good read. I really enjoyed that. Go ahead.
My bad. I was going to say real quick, it's been so cool to see so many people pick this book up and read it, and they're like, dude, this is great. So I'm glad people are enjoying it.
Yeah. Also read a book. I'm not going to talk about this episode. I'm going to talk about it more next episode because of this next book I'm going to talk. But I picked up, it was on sale, a book called Wide Awake. It's taking an honest look at what it really means to be white.
What was the title again? Sorry.
Wide Awake.
Okay.
By Daniel Hill. It looks at race and culture and racial identity. Short summary, super good. I'm going to talk about it more next episode. But also read a book called Life in the Wild. It's by a man named Dan DeWitt. He's one of the faculty members here at Cedarville. He was kind of putting together a launch team. So I didn't have any idea I was going to be reading either this book or that Wide Awake book going into break. But he's like, hey, I'm doing a launch team for my book I'm coming out with. Let me know if you want to be a part of it. And so he gave me an advanced copy. He looks at basically, he looks at Genesis chapter 3 and the fall and talks about, okay, we've got suffering, we've got tragedy, life sucks. What are you going to do about it? And so he's one of our apologetics professors. He's actually, I think, the chair of the apologetics department here at Cedarville. And he kind of looks at Genesis 3 and different parts of the fall and suffering and difficult life and says, okay, well, what are we going to do about all this? How are we going to approach difficulty and suffering? And so I got to read through it. Now, I'm not going to act like it's a game changer. I think it's a very well-written book. It's a good book. One thing that he does extremely well is I think it's a book. It's written to Christians in many ways, but I think because he's such an apologetics just person, an evangelistic person, that you could give this book to a non-believer and that they could still appreciate it. Because, I mean, he does a great job of presenting the gospel, of sharing the gospel, of talking about how to accept Christ. Mm-hmm. And so I've read through it. I'm probably going to read through it again. But definitely a book that I would recommend. It's a shorter book. You could probably I read through it in no time. You could probably read through it in a few days. It's like 110, 120 pages. And because we love the dear listeners, that's actually going to be the second giveaway for our 3 giveaways for our 3 years.
Here we go.
Again, I talked to Dr. DeWitt and he was saying, hey, if any of you guys run a blog or anything and you'd like to do a giveaway, a promo giveaway with the book, I'm like, hey, I've got a podcast that has a decent amount of listeners. We've got 2,000 members in our Facebook group, and I enjoyed the book. So in order to get signed up for this giveaway, of course, you need to follow us on Twitter and or be in the Facebook group like the other giveaway. Tweet at us or right in the Facebook group about your reading goals for 2018. Use the hashtag TRG Life in the Wild. That's the name of the book. And we'll announce a winner also on episode 109. So again, Life in the Wild by Dan DeWitt doesn't come out until February 1st. So add it to your wish list on Amazon or whatever you use for your books. Definitely a book worth checking out. And one of you will be receiving that free copy in the next month or so if you get chosen to be the winner.
There you go. There you go, dear listeners. Second thing we are giving away. One more left. But again, you ain't going to know what it is unless you listen to the whole episode. So stay tuned. So as far as what I've been reading, just to talk real briefly about book goals and stuff, I barely scraped by and got mine for last year. I set a goal for 60 books, and then I realized by the end of the year, yeah, I ain't doing that again because that just was very overwhelming. The first full year of ministry was just, I underestimated how much time that would take. So, setting a goal for 35 books this year. We're going to do the Tim Challies thing. We're going to go from there. And so I started reading one of the books that I picked out that my wife started reading. And I was curious to read because she said it was just, a lot of the stuff that was written on the pages was what she was going through. I'm like, okay, I want to understand my wife. I want to see what this book's saying. And so I picked up this book by Lisa. What is her last name? Lisa Turkhurst. I'm probably mispronouncing that. She's the president of Proverbs 31 Ministries. It's a book called Uninvited, Living Loved When You Feel Less Than, Left Out, and Lonely. And just a few disclaimers. Because this book is written from a woman's perspective, it's obviously written different than what I'm used to in terms of like theology and Christian living and stuff like that. So it definitely has a little bit of a different tone in that regard that I'm not quite used to, but I am actually really enjoying this book. And I know if you guys were to look up the reviews and stuff for like that, for this book now, it's kind of all over the place. There's some reviewers who said like, oh, the book's great. There's others who's like, yeah, it's just kind of crappy. I personally am enjoying it. There are some times where she does repeat herself. There's sometimes where it's kind of like, are you really even saying anything at this point? But for me, it's been helpful because she talks about basically, it sounds a lot like she's talking about like what it means to deal with anxiety and what are some ways that you can kind of fight that with words are hard. She talks about anxiety and how you can kind of combat that with God, like the truths about God. And so in talking about dealing with like rejection and things like that, and how rejection can kind of further cement these ideas of you being a failure and they don't really help. She says that my identity must be anchored to the truth of who God is and who he is to me. Only then can I find a stability beyond what my feelings will ever allow. The closer I align my truth with his truth, the more closely I identify with God and the more my identity really is in him. And I'm like, that's good. Like, I mean, I don't know, Adam, is there anything wrong with that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, like, I don't know, man. I just read that and I'm like, that stood out to me. Because as someone who deals with anxiety, I tend to focus on feelings of negativity, rejection a lot because those voices say, oh, you're a failure. You shouldn't even do half the things you're doing. But it's like, that's not what the Bible says. Yeah. Psalm 139 tells me that God knitted me together and then wrote my days down when there were none. In, is it Philippians? I should know this. But the Bible also says that he who began a good work in you will carry it through to the day of completion in Christ. It's like if God has started a work in you, he's not going to give up halfway. He's not just going to stop. He's not just going to put the brakes on it. He's going to keep that change, that transformation that he started in you, and he's going to keep it going until Christ comes again. And that's when we will reach glory. But not only that, the fact that God took the time to wrote down our days as if it's a plan when we didn't even have any days really to live, then I think that means we're worth something. I think that means we've got some value, and that means that we're not failures. I mean, we will fail. I'm not saying we're perfect, but I'm just saying, like,
we're not defined by our failures.
Exactly. There you go. That's it right there. We're not defined by our failures. We're defined by Christ and his glory. I mean, if we're in Christ, we are a new creation. So I think it's a very fascinating book. Dear listeners, if you pick up the book, I mean, and you're just not digging it, it's one of those things where it's like, chew on the meat, spit out the bones kind of thing when it comes to books. But I, for one, am just really, really enjoying it. And if you're a female listener and if you've read the book, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are, because I'm looking at Goodreads and there's some really good reviews, and then there's others that are like, I hated this book. And I'm like, okay, what am I missing?
I'll be honest, you need to get different perspectives. If the only people you are listening to are men, white men that look like you or of the same economic stature or whatever, or socioeconomic group, then you're limiting yourself. You should be reading both women. You should be reading women of color, men of color, of different races, of different socioeconomic class, just so you're getting a well-balanced diet of reading. If you're only reading people who are like you, you're not really, you're just going to hear people that you're just going to be saying that you need to be stretched. Sometimes we need to hear not even sometimes, a lot of times we need to hear hard things that challenge us, and not just wrong things. But there are some times where our understanding is just limited because of who we are and who we're around. Like, we need to be reading from those different resources. And so this is, reading, not just like, I've been reading a lot on race and from different Black authors and different things like that this year. I need to add women into that also. I haven't read a ton of women authors myself. And so I think that's an important thing.
It'll make you feel good. I'm not going to lie. Really like reading that. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I need to get a blanket, a cup of coffee or something. Just sit down, read it, let my hair down.
Just reading in general.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah. So, yeah, there's that. But Adam, good sir, I think it's time for a break. So, dear listeners, we're going to take a quick... You think I would make it longer in 2018.
Some things don't change in the new year.
Some things don't change, and those words are still hard in 2018. Oh, man. Better start praying for my future kids now. You know what I'm saying? Because if I got to teach them how to talk, that ain't going to be good. Anyway, dear listeners, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk about some of our goals for 2018 for the podcast, personal stuff, maybe try and do some gaming predictions and go from there. Stay tuned.
Have you ever watched a movie or TV show with your friends and noticed all kinds of symbolism, allegory, and Christian themes, only to have your friends shrug it off?
Well, maybe you need some new friends, but more likely, you need popcorn theology. I'm Richard.
And I'm David, and we're the hosts of Popcorn Theology, a podcast for movie lovers and theology nerds.
Each week, we dive into a different movie, TV show, or other topic and explore them from a biblical worldview.
Check us out on iTunes or your favorite podcast catcher, or at popcorntheology.com.
And remember, you are not a mindless consumer.
Welcome back, dear listeners. So for the topic of this show, it's 2018, right? Everybody does these things called resolutions, right? Totally lame.
Yep.
We're going to do goals instead, which are pretty much the same thing, but it's a different name, so they're different and they're better. And this is TRG, and this is how we do. So, so we're going to talk about, just spend a little bit of time. We'll get some of your responses in as well, because we threw the question out to you all as well, like kind of what are some things you want to do this year? So we're going to spend some time talking about what we just want to do. What are our goals for 2018? Whether that's personal, podcast, gaming, I can't think of anything else beyond that. So, Adam, good sir, man. What are some of your, what do you want to do in 2018, man? What are some things you want to do?
All we do is game and read and God. Those are our goals. Well,
there we go. We're done. Okay, so let's, we'll see you next week.
I guess I didn't write this one down, but continue to learn how to be a dad. We're kind of winging it. I didn't read any books. I probably should have read a book over the last year on how to be a dad, but I've got enough good resources and people around me that I've been watching for a while. I had a pretty good dad growing up, so
there you go.
Some good examples there, but be a good dad. Being a dad to a little girl. Like, I know how to be a boy.
Yeah.
I know nothing about girls. Such a shift. We had all this little boy stuff, and now I've got all this little girl stuff, and I'm like, what? Am I hurting her? I don't know what's going on.
I seriously thought you were about to say, nothing about being a girl. And I was about to be like, I hope not. I mean,
well, I don't know what it's like to be a girl either. I've dressed up as one a couple of times, but
okay.
Different story. It's a different story. Anyways, back to our goals. So I'll start, I guess, with kind of my reading goals, since we talked about what we've been reading, what we've been playing. This year, like I said, I hit 24. I didn't really go into the year with like a list of books that I wanted to read. This summer I had a good opportunity to read a large chunk of books. But this year I'm like, all right, I want to be a little bit more strategic. I'm trying to I'm not exactly doing the Challies approach, but I think I could probably check off a lot of his different categories. I'm going to try to hit 24 books this year with a mix of, I got a couple biographies on there. I've got Al Mohler. He did his 2017 summer reading list from this last year, and most of his were some history books. And so I took one or two of his books off that. I'm going to add some history books onto my list this year. Of course, a lot of theology and some commentary books that I'll either be doing partly for work, but also just for some personal ones that I've accumulated over the last couple years. And then I'm going to continue to read a lot of stuff on social, cultural, racial, different, just reconciliation and books in general. So trying to diversify my authors from Black, white, Asian. I mean, just trying to find a bunch of different authors, so I'm not just reading a lot of people that I'm familiar with. Not that it makes necessarily better, but just to challenge some of my normal ways of thinking. And so really excited about that. Just to list a couple of the books that I've got on there. Let me pull it up. I've got, I'm reading currently True Spirituality by Francis Schaeffer. I'm reading Tim Keller Prayer. I'm going to try to read Pilgrim's Progress by Bunyan. Always heard that was great, and I never got around to it.
Yeah, man.
A book called Steal Away Home. I'm going to read the Winston Churchill biography, The Last Lion. The Screw Tape Letters, Way to Glory, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, The Blood of Emmett Till, Race and Place, The Decline of African American Theology, Last Hope Island, The Bruised to Read, Letters from a Birmingham Jail, and I've still got 3 or 4 other books that I can add. So that's kind of, I've got some other ones I didn't read, but that's kind of where I'm starting. So if any of the dear listeners got some suggestions for me, I probably should add, well, I don't say probably. I've been wrestling with throwing in a good fiction. Now, I know we've got a ton of fiction lovers in our group.
Yeah, man.
And I'm not trying to commit to some long series, but toying with the idea of throwing some fiction in there. But I like my fiction to be in movies and in video games. I don't necessarily to read that. But so that's what I'm looking at in regards to what I'm looking to read. So 24 books as a minimum. Hopefully I'll even hit up to 30 this year. And then with some of that different mix that I was talking about.
Yeah, man. So let me ask you this question, Adam. How do you feel about stories that have a lot of excitement, that have a lot of mystery, a lot of intrigue, a little bit of good versus evil, and some moral quandaries about, are the good guys really good and are the bad guys really bad, with some great action scenes, fantastic world building? Do you like that, Adam? Does that sound good to you?
Sounds amazing.
Okay, man. Well, you should check out Mistborn: The Final Empire. This is a book I've been recommending to literally everyone in the Facebook group. Richard Foltz over at Popcorn Theologies has been going nuts over it. I'm just saying, if you're looking for a good fiction book, Mistborn.
Write it down.
Do what?
I'm gonna write that down.
There you go, man. It's like I'm gonna give you this warning just right out of the gate, so that way you don't go to the bookstore and you're like, hold up, what? Roughly 600 pages, if not a little bit more. So it's a beefy read, but it's fantastic, dude. And I don't even really like.
What's it called again? Mistborn.
Mistborn: The Final Empire is the first book in a 3-part series.
Okay.
And in all honesty, you could finish the first book and be like, okay, that was a well self-contained story. I'm good, and you don't even have to read the other 2 books. But you probably are going to read the other 2 books because this one's just so good, you know. Just saying. I haven't steered you wrong with a Reco yet. I brought you Persona. I brought you some other things that I can't think of.
Do you want to risk it? That's the thing.
I'll risk it. I think it's that good.
All right.
I'm just saying, if this book surprised my wife when she's the kind of person that sees every single kind of twist coming in anything that she reads or watches, and this book managed to surprise her several times, it's a fantastic book. I
put it on the list. That could be my one fiction.
There you go.
I've only heard good things of Sanderson.
Dude, it's so good. So good. So good. Yeah. Anyway. So staying on the gravy train that is books and reading. So yeah, just kind of go over my challenge with books this year. I am doing the Tim Challies thing. I'm using his avid reader tier of books. You guys can look up Tim Challies' reading list or reading challenge for 2018 and see how he's broken it down. But I've pulled up 26 categories from his, like, I think he's got like 200 different ones on there. So I've got several books on there. I'm not going to go through the entire list just because it's a hefty list. But of course, I've got the Mistborn series on there. I finished the first book over winter break, and I want to read the other 2 books in the main trilogy this year. I've also got books in there. Uninvited, I already talked about. Dream With Me, which was the book that you recommended to me, Adam. I've got that queued up. I've got The Power of Prayer by Spurgeon, Everyday Parenting, because I'm going to be a dad at some point, so I might as well start learning about it now. And so that way, hopefully I'll know what I'm doing by the time I have a kid. And hopefully words won't be as hard then. I've also got Anxious for Nothing by Max Lucado, God and the Transgender Debate, Scottish Theology, 8 Women of Faith. What else we got in here? Phasma, which is a Star Wars book that I'm actually listening to right now and not really enjoying it. But there's just a lot of books on there. I'm really wanting to, what I'm trying to do with my books this year is I'm wanting to push myself a little bit. I'm wanting to challenge myself and read stuff that I wouldn't normally seek out. So books pertaining to politics, social studies, racial reconciliation, even women's ministry stuff, stuff pertaining to issues that are happening overseas that aren't even happening in the States here. Reading about that. I've got a couple books queued up talking about North Korea imprisonment camps, and reading about those. And so I'm wanting to kind of push myself a little bit and just kind of get into the mindset of, I guess, just broadening it, I guess, and just trying to get out of my own little bubble, so to speak, and really just trying to push myself. So hopefully the way that I've structured my reading list this year, it will accomplish that. I'm set a goal on my Goodreads profile to go after 35 books total. So I've got 24, 26 planned out here, and then maybe I'll just put the rest of the 10 or so books and just read a manga series like I did last year with One Punch Man. So I don't know. We'll see. That's my reading stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, moving on to my gaming goals. It's hard to, again, I don't know what I'm doing now that I'm becoming a parent. And so I'm sure this one will take kind of the biggest hit. Yeah. I was actually counting. I was looking at, games played. So a couple of these games kind of dragged from one year to the other. Like technically Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I played a lot this, in 2017, also dragging over in 2018. So every year there's a couple of those that drag over. But in 2016, I played I would say a substantial amount. I may not have completed all of these, but 30 games. 2017, actually 30 games also. And so after becoming a dad, my goal is to hit 30 again. Now, I don't know what that'll look like. Mm-hmm. I've kind of got my jumping off point already on that with Wolfenstein, Xenoblade, Mario RPG, trying to finish that up on the SNES Classic. Mm-hmm. But my kind of little thing within that is I hope to play at least a handful of the games on the SNES Classic. So finishing up Mario RPG, trying out Earthbound, maybe playing one of the Final Fantasies, trying to knock off, at least 4 or 5 so I can say I got my money's worth out of that little system. And yeah, so that's kind of my gaming goal. I mean, I guess being a good steward also, not forsaking things like my family and my wife and my new child. I've had some ideas of how I'm going to do gaming and parenting at the same time. So far it hasn't kind of happened yet, but again, I'm only 5 days into being a parent, so I don't have to know all those things yet. But yeah. So that's kind of where I'm sitting for my gaming goals, is to try to hit 30 games again. It may look differently than last year, but if I get, I guess one big thing is I don't have as many old games that I'm trying to catch up on. Usually I have a bunch of like PS3 games or some GameCube games or some of those older games that I'm trying to play catch up with. Mm-hmm. I've still got a handful of those. I'd like to play like Kingdoms of Amalur, the PS3 game. I'd like to play that. There's a couple GameCube games I'd like to get around to. There's, I never finished up the Mass Effect series. I never played the third one, even though I know a lot of people didn't like the ending there. So yeah. I've got a handful of those that I'd like to get to, but a lot of the games I'm looking to play are games that are coming out this year or some of those SNES Classic games. So definitely attainable. I don't have a ton of like super huge games, but you think of games like, Ni no Kuni 2 that's going to be coming out. That's a huge JRPG, trying to finish up Blade Chronicles 2. Kingdom Hearts 3 when that comes out, hopefully this year. Those are some meaty games right there. So maybe it's not as many as trying to complete as many games, but just try to really be selective and accomplish what is put in front of me.
Yeah. That's honestly kind of the same approach that I'm taking with my games. Is I'm wanting to finish more games than I buy this year, and mainly just because I felt like I was doing good last year. I had my backlog was getting trimmed down. It was down to like 30 games or something like that. I'm like, man, I'm doing good. And then all these holiday sales rolled around, and I stocked back up. And so like this year, I definitely want to finish more games than I buy. Like, I don't want to just keep buying games when I've got plenty to play, and because that is wasteful, and I think we've talked about that a couple times on the show. We even brought Nate McKeever on to talk about it. And it's just that idea of stewardship. You don't want to. There's nothing really wrong with buying games, but there's probably an issue starting or there when you're buying those in excess, when you're not really taking into account your time and your finances and stuff like that. It's just trying to be wise with it, trying to be a little more wise with it. And that being said, if you want help with that, download the GG app, because that'll help you keep track of that stuff. I know there's some guys in the group that got the GG app, and then they put in all their games and they're like, oh man, my backlog is huge. I don't want to buy anything else. I'm like, oh, there you go. There you go. It's an app that will convict you, and I'm sure I'm totally selling that app very, very well. But something I also want to do to kind of help combat that a little bit is I want to get 5 platinum trophies this year. I was going to put 10, maybe 15, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to be like setting a 60 book goal like I did last year and then stressing myself out trying to get it at the end of the year. So I want to get at least 5. I want to get at least 5 platinum trophies to kind of help me keep from buying games when I shouldn't. And I want to go after at least one really difficult platinum trophy. I don't have a game picked out just yet, but I want to go after a game that has just not an insanely hard platinum trophy, but one that's going to keep me busy for a while. I know golly, words are still hard. I know I'm going to have the platinum trophy for Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice after I finish it, because it's a super easy platinum trophy. But that's basically what I want to do. But also, and this is going to be, it sounds a little backwards. It's not, this next goal isn't going to make sense given everything I've just said. But I also just want to cut back on gaming a little bit. Or quite a bit, maybe. Just because with some of my other goals that I'll talk about, some of my more personal ones or ministry related ones, in order for me to accomplish those, some things have to give, and video games is going to be one of them. Now, stay calm, dear listeners. That doesn't mean this show's going anywhere or anything like that. It just means that I'm not going to be playing as much throughout the week like I normally do. So, and plus, I mean, you never know. If God blesses me and my wife with a child this year, that time's definitely going to go away. But yeah, I want to cut back on gaming a little bit. I want to take I guess like a hard look at my hobbies, I guess. I don't know how to word it. I want to analyze this stuff and make sure I'm actually optimizing my time, but also at the same time optimizing my time or redeeming my time to where I'm ministering to other people as well, including my own family. And I can't really do that if I'm just playing games or focused on all these other things all the time, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I guess for my last little goal thing that I have in regards to the podcast, a couple goals for it. The one I put down is, again, Logan he's the OG. He keeps this thing rolling, but my goal is to hit 80% of the episodes. So that'd be 4 out of every 5. I don't know if I hit that this year or not, but I feel like there were seasons where I was able to be on it. And then there's always those times, whether it's at the end of the school year or something with adoption that had come up here and there that missed it. And again, who knows how parenting and baby stuff might change some of that. But my goal is to hit 80% of the episodes so that I can, my goal isn't to go anywhere. I don't blame Jonathan for when he left, when he got those twins. I mean, he had to do what he had to do. I'm hoping that I'm not going to have to step away because I love getting to be a part of this podcast. So that's one of my goals. And then to come alongside you and hopefully get our Patreon up off the ground. Oh man, you took one of my goals. That's when I said to help you. You're going to be the guy that gets the machine going, but help be strategic in how we do that. And so maybe that's even doing some of the Ask Anythings or streaming a little bit more, or
I gotta figure out how the machine even works at first. Like, I'm sitting there looking at Patreon and like, what does all this mean again?
Yeah, so if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. We don't want to but in order to be able to keep, I know the listeners know this, but I mean, I've put in a lot of time, but I've not even put in half the time that you've put in. And so as much as we want to be able to do the giveaways, I mean, I'll be honest, I'll say this for everybody to hear. You deserve to get some cash back for all the hard work you've put into 3 years and you haven't made a dime off of this.
You're too kind, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just, so again, it's not about making money. I mean, I think you deserve a little bit, but we're not trying to like get rich or quit our day jobs or any of that. But I mean, the podcast costs money to post it and to do the giveaways. And hopefully if we've been a blessing to dear listeners, we'd have some, again, we wouldn't require a lot of money to get it going, but hopefully I think that's something that'd just be good for our community and for the podcast. So I'm hopeful that we can get that going in the next month or two.
Yeah. Don't worry.
And I've got a big goal, but it's really for 2019, but I'm not ready to share it yet. And I know you know it.
I know what you're talking about.
I've got the ideas flowing, people. I like to tease, and it's a big one for 2019, but yeah.
I'll give you a sneak peek right now. It's loot boxes like you wouldn't believe.
Yes, pod boxes.
There you go. Pod boxes, dude. Man, we need to get in on that. There's oil in them there hills. No, I'm kidding. We're not doing anything with loot boxes. We are not becoming EA. But as far as that goes, as far as podcast stuff goes, like Adam said, start a Patreon and try not to turn to the dark side like EA has and become like them. One of the other things, just 2 other things I definitely want to try and accomplish and see if this happens. Is get 500 subscribers on YouTube, just to see if we can do it and just to see how that goes. Granted, that means I want to do even better with the YouTube content we put out, learning some things. And really, some of you dear listeners have been fantastic with feedback and just letting me know areas that we can improve and things like that. Really good feedback that we'll be using this year to produce better content on YouTube that you guys will get to enjoy. And one of those things is actually getting a capture card for the PS4, the Switch, maybe some PC games if my Mac can even run games. I don't think there's no Mac master race, as people in the group would say. So I don't know if I can play anything on it. Maybe I can play solitaire, get some.
The Nintendo one is a big one, though. If we could each get a Nintendo, I mean, there's people that do it, but it's much more unusual to find Nintendo, I feel like, stream games. So that'd be a cool little corner of the market to get into.
Yeah, definitely. And plus, with a lot of the indie games that I've been picking up on the Switch, I think some of you guys would be like, like Brawl Out is a new one that came out that's basically a Smash Brothers clone, but it has the character from Yooka-Laylee in there that you can play as. It has the character from Hyper Light Drifter. I've seen some people asking about it in the group. I think I would love to get videos out on there, just kind of like first impressions of like, hey, here's this indie game that you're interested in. Take a look at it, see what you think, and then if it's got multiplayer, we can play together. So those are just some things I definitely want to do. I didn't think YouTube would be this much fun, like producing content for it, but it's kind of addictive to the point where I'm like, I could put a video out every day if I wanted to, but realistically I can't, because that would just take up too much of my time. But yeah, man, it's fun. I definitely want to grow that. I want to see it grow like the podcast has, and it's a lot of fun. It's cool being able to do that, and plus it's great. I think one of the things that I really like hearing from people, and I've heard this a couple times, is when parents contact us and say, oh man, my kid loves your show, or thank you so much for streaming this game the other day and being clean about it. Our kids will totally watch your stuff from now on. Just the fact that we're able to help parents out, and they know that they can check our stuff out without having to worry about their kids hearing cuss words or like the recent Logan Paul situation, seeing a dead body in the forest. It makes me feel better about kind of what we're doing, is that we're able to help parents out a little bit and kind of alleviate that stress a little bit. So there's that. And dear listeners, if you don't know what's going on with Logan Paul, you can look that up on Twitter or Google at your own time. I'm not going to talk about it here and give it any more exposure than it already has. But yeah, that's the podcast. That is
nice.
The podcast. So, like I said, we asked some of you guys, some of y'all, kind of what your goals are for this year, and you want to read 250 books like Calvinist Batman? Do you want to finish more games than you buy? Do you want to write a student ministry curriculum that throws out as many 90s pop culture references as possible? You guys gave us some answers. Here's a couple. John Ryan Riley, dear listener supreme. He says, I've started streaming a lot, so my goal is to reach 1,000 followers this year. And John, to help you out, man, we're going to link your stuff in the show notes. He streams on mixer.com. His username is code missing. Like I said, that stuff will be in the show notes, and we'll go from there. A couple other people said, Mark Fromey from the Error 204 podcast. He says, I got married, and my wife and I have had 2 pregnancies in 2017. God saw fit to take our first baby, but blessed us with another, and we'll have our daughter come April. Amen. Moved to a new state. I also finished 30 books in about 15 games. Oh, I read that. Okay, he says on there, he's like, I read that wrong. I guess my goal this year will be to get better at reading comprehension.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was cracking up when I read that.
Oh man, yeah, that's an admirable goal, but as someone who still struggles with words 3 years into the podcast, it's going to be a lot of work. Simon Peter Fendrick says, mental goals, learn another language. All the ones I currently speak, read or Western, are dead, so I may try to learn Vietnamese, but I generally crash and burn hard on non-Indo-European trees. Like literally, you crash? Anyway, physical deadlift at 500 pounds and spiritual finish my New Testament translation and start a new student Bible study. Awesome. Wesley Ray, the average trainer Wes on YouTube, which by the way, his channel is linked on our YouTube page. Please go check him out and give him some support. Did I say support weird? I don't care. He says, my hobby goals, start a podcast I've been planning for the past year, read 150 books, finish 20 video games, buy a 3DS capture card and a new HDMI capture card, upload videos regularly to my YouTube channel. I'm also hoping to finish up Calvin's Institutes and listen through the Bible at least one time through as a private devotion. Awesome stuff. Some other good stuff. Luke Denner of Error 204 podcast, Mark Fromey's co-host. I would like to finally learn to use the big boy potty.
I get that, brother. Hey, you come over to the Sutherland house. We'll potty train you too.
There'll just be a group potty training session.
Yeah, you and Ren.
Just potty train everybody. That's. I wonder, Luke, did you put that and think I wouldn't read it? Because, man, you know I would. Luke Strain says, write a small group study curriculum for a book in the Bible, lose 30 pounds, and 270 on Army PT test. I don't know what that means because I'm not in the Army, so you will have to let me know.
That stuff's hardcore. I got a lot of ROTC guys who are always talking about their PT tests, and that stuff's no joke, dude. Yeah, it's no joke.
Is it pretty brutal?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
very intensive. They got to hit certain checkpoints and stuff like that. So I know I'm not up to it, but Luke, good on you, man.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Jesse Penu says, man, I really hope your girlfriend isn't listening to this, but you said I want to propose to my girlfriend of 2 years. So if she listens to this, sorry, we just kind of let the cat out of the bag. But hey, as Tanner from the Reform Pub would say, crap or get off the pot. It's kind of helping you out. David Baby B. Benjamin put this one. It's a little crazy. I'm not going to lie. I had to do a spit take when I saw it, where you drink your water and then you spit it out and you're like, what? He says he wants to not buy a single game this year. Good luck, sir. That's worthy goal. I want to know if it's possible. Ryan McGregor says it is. But there's a lot of responses on here. A lot of people wanting to knock out some weight loss, change jobs, things like that. So good stuff, dear listeners. Great stuff. Fantastic stuff. As always, since we are a community, let us know how you're doing throughout the year. Let us know if you're accomplishing those goals. Let us know if you need help or prayer or anything like that. And we can go from there. But anyway, dear listeners, my phone. Seriously, Adam, I don't know why I got a new phone. Because I feel like we've worked retail. We know how it is when people get new phones and they're kind of scared of their new devices. That's how it feels right now. I feel like my phone is trying to take things over, and I don't even know what I'm doing. But one thing I do know that we're doing is the third giveaway. You ready, dear listeners?
Yes, sir.
For this giveaway, you have the option, the opportunity to win a gift card to your platform of choice. Your platform of choice. Words are hard. It can either be PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, Steam, eShop Code, maybe just Amazon. I don't know. No. PlayStation Store, Xbox, Nintendo eShop, or Steam. And again, with this, same thing as all the others, Okay, there it is. You got to follow us on Twitter or be in the Facebook group or both. Tweet at us and or post in the Facebook group about your backlogs and finances goals for 2018. Use the hashtag TRG backlogs finances to be entered in to win. Again, we're giving away a PlayStation Store gift card, Xbox Store gift, whichever platform you play on, you're going to get a gift card for it. Use the hashtag TRG backlogs finances. Let us know what your backlogs and finances goal is for 2018. You'll be entered to win, and we'll announce the winner on episode 109. Now, Adam, real briefly, because everybody else is doing it, so we might as well do it too, because that's how we are. Not really. Do you have a prediction for gaming for 2018? One or two?
Yeah, I got a couple. We'll see. They can be kind of spitfire here, back and forth. Let me pull it up. Where's it at? Okay, here we go. My first one is the Nintendo Switch will come out with a deluxe, kind of like the Wii U did a deluxe version. Ooh. It's going to have a 64 gig basic like hard drive instead of the 32 that's on now. So I don't, so at some point this year, it's going to be like a little mini upgrade where they're going to up that internal. A toy with the idea of a Nintendo Switch XL, a little bit bigger, but I don't know how they execute that. So I'm going to hold off on that. But I think they will increase at some point in 2018 the basic 32 gig up to at least 64.
Fair enough. Keeping in line with the Switch, for me, my first prediction is that we will see Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon on the Switch in 2018, like a full-fledged Pokemon game. I'm not talking about a knockoff. I'm talking about one where you start off in a small town with like 3 houses. You go and fight gym leaders. You go and fight the Elite Four, that kind of stuff. Are
you talking about both of the new ones?
Both of the new ones. We'll see them this year.
Hot dang.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm gonna call it. And if it happens, I'm going to lose my mind on this podcast.
Hey, we don't know what's going on in Nintendo right now because all the big games have been announced, really.
Yeah, but they got that Direct coming later this month.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm with you.
I'm just saying, if it happens, oh man, I'm going to lose my mind. All right, Adam, what's your other one?
Continuing with that January Direct, I've got Super Smash Brothers Deluxe announced at the Nintendo January Direct.
Ooh, snap,
released in March or April or May or something like that.
I'll take that. I like that one. I like that one a lot. My second one is Spyro Remastered gets announced. We saw Crash get remastered. We're seeing Medieval get remastered. I think we're going to see Spyro get remastered this year. Just saying.
I've got 2 more. We can just do this one as the last one if we need. My last one's real quick too, but this one is a Nintendo 64 Classic Edition.
Ooh.
15 games. Yeah. 2 controllers, maybe even 4, man. If they went big, charge $150, put 15 games on it, give 4 controllers. Man, I don't know if that'd be awesome.
Game over, dude.
I've still got my 64. I don't necessarily need one, but you throw those Mario parties on there, Mario 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Mario Kart. There's a lot of good multiplayer games.
See, man, if
Pokemon Stadium.
If you want to play Mario Party, just get a 3DS and play that collection they put out.
Gosh, dang it.
I only said that just to get you triggered. My bad. Yeah, no, that'd be good. I'm still waiting for the GameCube Classic. You know what I'm saying? It's a cute little cube. Cute little purple cube.
It'd be a sweet one.
It would be sweet. My third and final prediction is that, and this is one I honestly have no hope for, but I'm gonna predict it anyway. Nintendo finally releases the Virtual Console on the Switch with games up to N64. So we'll see.
No GameCube, huh?
I don't know. I'm a little iffy about GameCube if they can do it, but you know, I don't want to stretch myself too far, if you know what I'm saying, with these things, you know. So, but I think that'll happen. Adam, what's your last prediction?
Last one, Division 2 announced.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, that's my game one. I needed a game one, non-Nintendo. Division 2 announced by Ubisoft. E3 comes this fall or spring 2019.
Fair enough. It is.
I'd like to get in on that game early. I got in on the Division 2 a little late.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get in on this one at launch.
Yeah, man. Fair enough. It's a better game than Destiny 2 is. Anyway, just gonna coast right by that. Anyway, dear listeners, if you have any things that you think are going to happen in 2018 in regards to gaming, or maybe you didn't get a chance to let us know what some of your goals are, let us know on Twitter at TRG Podcast. Let us know in the Facebook group, or hey, if you're listening to this on YouTube, hello, thank you for supporting us on YouTube. Let us know in the comments down below. With that being said, episode 108, our 3rd year anniversary episode is coming to a close, but Adam, good sir, we can't end just yet. We gotta do something, man. Something for the dear listeners. What can we do? I feel like we should recommend some things, or maybe recap some of our recommendations.
Recapping the recommendations.
Yeah, man. Recap the Recos. It's a Reco recap on episode 108 in 2018 of the Reformed Gamers. Adam, good sir, what do our dear listeners need to check out?
If you like 3D platforming, check out Yooka-Laylee. I think you will enjoy it. It's a perfect no, but it is very good. Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. Read it. It's great. If you look at, it's just a chill read. It's not like theology. Every once in a while, take a break from a theology book. Read something fun. Blood, Sweat, and Pixels is fantastic. Also, be looking out for the Life in the Wild. Comes out February 1st. Dan DeWitt is the author. Professor here, I know him, great guy, pretty good book. Definitely worth picking it up. It's only like $10-15, 120 pages. You'll read it in no time. And then make a reading list. That's my other one. Like, have some goals, set it out there, get a reading list, plan it out. Even if it's 5 books, whatever, figure it out.
Good stuff, man. For my recos, again, dear listeners, play Axiom Verge, because that game is fantastic. So good. So good. Check that out. Again, check out Code Missing, John Ryan Riley, one of our dear listener supremes. Check him out on Mixer as he streams games, Overwatch and stuff. I know I'm subscribed to him. I've seen him play Overwatch. He's pretty good. Just saying. Pretty good. There's probably some other recos I'm forgetting that I will put back in here during post. But yeah. The only other thing I can think of is check us out on YouTube. Give us a subscribe, hit that bell icon, so that way you never miss a upload. This day that this episode comes out, we are back on YouTube, and just really everything else, we're back to our normal routine, so you guys will get a new episode of TRG Plays Horizon the Frozen Wilds coming at you on Wednesday, and then the next week we'll upload our BioShock episode to YouTube under our TRG Remastered playlist, and you'll get more episodes of TRG Horizon Plays. One thing I will say, here's another reco, I guess. Let us know what game you want us to play. Wait, let us know what game you want. Let us know what game you want to see us play on YouTube, that you want to see us do a Let's Play of. If it's a Nintendo title, that's fine. Still suggest it, because I'm going to be looking into getting a capture card and trying to get that working and going from there. But just throw some suggestions out there, and maybe I'll do a poll in the group. Maybe, I don't know. We'll do some stuff. We'll figure it out, because Frozen Wilds is getting close to being done. Just saying. Got the footage. Practically done. All we gotta do is upload the stuff. But yeah, let us know what we. I'm losing it, Adam. I'm just gonna go ahead and go. Man, we're losing it. Dear listeners, if you want to follow us, contact us, hang out with us, and all that other fun stuff, head over to Twitter at TRG Podcast. Give us a follow there. Join the Facebook group. Answer those 3 questions before we can let you in. Check out our website, thereformedgamers.wordpress.com, for backlogs of episodes, show notes, and all that jazz. Helpful articles and things of that nature. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Twitch. It's just TRG Podcast. You can go to youtube.com/thereformedgamers and subscribe. Check out all of our content right there. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. iTunes, there it is. If you get the chance, leave us an iTunes review and let us know what you think about the show. It really helps us out, kind of boosts us up in the rankings, and it also gets us more attention and more interaction with people that are browsing, looking for a Christian gaming podcast. But hey, it's 2018, dear listeners. Got some exciting things in store. And as the one song goes by Blue Tree that I'm going to try and not butcher, there are greater things yet to come. There are still greater things to be done in this podcast in 2018. God is not done just yet. So guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for checking out the show. If you're new to the show, hit the subscribe button. Words are hard. I promise this is not this is not a foretaste of what the show is going to be like in 2018. Dear listeners, thank you for checking us out. Thank you for sticking with us. And hey, 2018, let's go. Until next time, GG and amen.